Welcome to the Earth Your Wild podcast. We're your hosts, Jack and Ellie.
This is the podcast where we talk to industry experts and sustainable business owners to try to answer the question, how do I make my business more sustainable? So this week we're chatting to Rebecca Honeywell, founder of Honeywell Bakes. They make handcrafted biscuits and baking kits. Rebecca started Honeywell Bakes from her kitchen, selling a few biscuits and cakes online while her children were young. Since then, the business has grown to a team of 18 bakers based in the heart of the Northamptonshire countryside. Every biscuit they bake is hand-cut using a specially selected cookie cutter before being expertly iced. And I'll also say that Rebecca very kindly sent us some biscuits to celebrate our B Corp certification, and they were amazing. They didn't last 5 minutes around here, so thank you so much for letting us try them. Welcome to the podcast, Rebecca.
I didn't
Thank
get any
you. Thank you
biscuits,
for having
by the way.
Get any?
Oh
dear.
yeah, sorry, Jack. I feel like they kind of bypassed your office and didn't get past. They didn't get very far when they got here, so
It's fine.
sorry about
Perhaps I'll
that.
have to send you some more.
But yeah, I can vouch and say they were amazing. Yeah, I think the
Nice.
marketing team just stole them.
Okay.
They just ate them all. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
gone.
sorry
Damn.
about that.
Cool.
Well, thank you for having me.
Cool. I was kind of really keen to hear more about the backstory of Honeywell Bakes, because looking at your website, it seems it seemed a bit like maybe you're one of those businesses that didn't really intend to be a business, which are the most interesting ones.
It was a bit like that. Before I started Honeywell Bakes, I was actually a photographer, and I was doing weddings and social photography mainly. And when I had my daughter, because it's very much evening work and weekend work, and I thought actually when she goes to school, I don't really want to be out in the evenings and at weekends. And my sister was living with us at the time. And for Isabella's christening, we made this big dessert table with loads of cakes and biscuits and all coordinated things. It was at the time that Pinterest actually started. So we got on Pinterest and we were like, wow, look at all this. You know, Pinterest was an amazing new thing. Inspired us to make this dessert table with color coordinated treats. And someone said, oh, you ought to start selling those. People would like to have those. They're quite different to anything else. We were like, no way. That's a silly idea. We're too busy and no way. Anyway, fast forward about 6 months, and I was thinking, actually, maybe we could sell something like that. So we started to test sending out cakes and various things, and I kind of iced the first few biscuits, which looking back were terrible, but I thought they were great at the time. And we started to test sending them and quickly realised actually biscuits are going to be a lot better to send than a cake, because a cake's heavy, it's expensive for postage, and obviously it has a short shelf life, whereas biscuits last for months if they're stored properly. So that's how it started. It kind of started as like, oh, okay, maybe we'll send out a few cakes and things, a few biscuits, while I do the photography. And then it did grow, and I was thinking, okay, yeah, I could now give up the photography and work during the week. So we do work 9 to 5 mainly here, and that's the idea. You're here 9 to 5, home with your family the rest of the time.
Nice. So
Because a lot of bakeries do kind of early mornings or late nights, or a lot of food production is done. Chefs and things are all evenings as well. So we try to keep it in.
Yeah, it's
almost
interesting. Like obviously we deal with the food industry a bit, and I noticed they do all this like 7 days a week, 24-hour, and it's quite disruptive for people's lives, isn't it?
It was always really intentional that it wasn't evenings and weekends, and that we're an all-women team, and a lot of people have children, or even if they don't, they've just got things they'd like to do, evenings, etc. So we're quite flexible. People can work school hours or they work around their commitments, but within those hours of kind of daytime.
Yeah, that's really nice. I also noticed when I was looking on your Meet the Team page, and one of your team members is also your sister. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I just wondered, because we're siblings, and I wondered how you find working with family, or how you found that. Was it something that just came naturally, or?
really interestingly, I started the business with one sister, my sister Rosie. And at the time we were in Yorkshire, she was actually living with us for a little while. And then as it evolved, Rosie wanted to do something with a social enterprise, and she's actually moved to Scotland now. So we started together and ran it together for about 5 years before she decided that actually she was off to do something else. And then more recently, my sister Laura, another sister, because I'm the oldest of 7 siblings.
Wow.
Sisters. I've got 4 sisters, wow. 2 brothers. So another sister, Laura, was looking for another job. She'd left the police. She'd been in the police for a while. And she was a childminder, but COVID hit. It all kind of came to a halt. And she's always been really interested in sustainability. And we were trying to get our B Corp certification, or at least I really wanted to do it, but couldn't see a way to do it without a bit of support, because it's actually long-winded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it long-winded?
Yeah. I did most of it.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Yeah. So you'll be an expert. So Laura came on board, I think 2 or 3 years ago, with the purpose that she is our environment and sustainability agent. She comes in, she kind of goes through all our supply chain, everything like that. And her aim was that we end up with the B Corp certification, but obviously then we go beyond that and continue. So she lives in Wales at the moment, so we don't actually see her all that often. But we get on really well, and it's great working together. And I'm looking forward to it, because she's coming back. Actually, she's going to move back locally, so then she'll be in the office more, and that'll be nice.
Oh, that's so there hasn't been any challenges with working with family then. It's been quite smooth running.
Well, I wouldn't say that. We have had some challenges. No, we definitely, Rosie and I had differences of opinion quite regularly, and no, there have been challenges. I think normal sibling challenges that probably in a work environment you'd mainly overcome. But yeah, we definitely had a few of them. Arguments, or what have you done that for? Who's put that order in? That kind of thing at the beginning, but in general, quite smooth.
Yeah, that's never happened, has it, with us?
Do you find the same?
Yeah. Well, Ellie just turned up one day and decided she was going to start working.
Yeah, here. I used to be a teacher, and pretty much I just turned up here. I asked Jack if he wanted some help, and he said no, so I just turned up anyway.
Well, I think you need the help. You just don't realise it.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, cool. So tell us a bit more about Honeywell Bakes, because obviously you do biscuits. Do you also do like subscription models? And I was having a little nosy on your website.
Yeah, we actually have 2 sides to the business almost. So we sell hand-iced biscuits, which are exactly as they sound. We either sell gift sets that people buy online, which is for birthdays, Christmas, Valentine's, anything like that you want to send a gift. Something kind of cute and funny and edible, then or just like really, really lovely, hand decorated. You can order that, have it delivered to anyone, and your gift is done, and you get some brownie points. Or we also have a model which is baking kits. So with the baking kits, they're either aimed at children or adults. So we have a range of children's baking kits, for example. Everything comes pre-weighed in the box, apart from things like eggs and butter that you add in, things that you just have in your cupboard anyway normally. And the idea is that we send out a kit to make something lovely, like a snowman cinnamon roll, or cat and dog cupcakes, or something kind of fun that you might not have everything in the cupboard for, all pre-weighed with a recipe card. And for the children, they get a craft activity as well to do while they wait for it to bake. And they'll learn a new skill, they'll get off their screens, and they'll spend the afternoon baking something that ends up really delicious and also teaches them to bake. And the same thing is for adults as well. We do bread baking kits. So that could be anything from a babka to, I'm trying to think some of our best-selling ones, a rainbow bagel. So it's essentially a bagel, but all rainbow colours. A garden focaccia, which is almost like bread art. So you make the focaccia and then you decorate, you put patterns and things on the top of it. And we also have baker's kits. So rather than being bread, they're all things like cakes and sweet treats. And yes, we have subscriptions to those as well. So it's the baking kits, but as a subscription monthly.
That sounds really nice, because I like the idea of baking, but I'm terrible at it. So I feel like that could work for me. Maybe I'd have to try the children's one to start off with.
Well, I think you'll be fine, because it does literally come pre-weighed, step-by-step instructions, and it does makes it easier for sure. But I'm sure you're not bad at baking. It's probably your maybe you're just not paying enough attention to the recipe.
Yeah, no, that sounds really nice though.
It's interesting that you went down that route of these sort of baking kits, because I guess it sounds like your company, maybe unintentionally, is very kind of like, you know, community based, and, you know, kind of sounds like you've got like a lot of connectiveness with your team, and I suppose your products even like around doing stuff with your family or with your children. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely an intent in a way, that it provides a connection, exactly like you say. So when you send someone a gift that's personalised or handmade, that's a connection, isn't it? And instantly that kind of experience that you have of receiving and sending it. And very much with the baking kits, it's, you know, grandparents might do them with their grandchildren, or even if it's a couple doing it together, or a family, or even on your own. It's a mindful activity. It's an experience rather than just a product.
Yeah, sounds very wholesome.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, yeah, until it goes wrong and you swear, but yes.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. So you're also B Corp certified, which is amazing. Why did you decide to go down that road? Why was that important to you?
I first heard about it on another podcast, and it was Cook, the meals. They're just called Cook, and they sell lovely frozen meals, but they're cooked as though you cook them at home, so they don't have preservatives and all that extra gunk that a lot of essentially ready meals have in them. And as I was listening to the podcast and hearing them explaining what B Corp was, I was thinking that that's something that we should do, that the values were aligned, and that all of that sounded amazing. But also the verification that I could go now and buy their products and trust that they are doing what they say they will, and that I'm buying a product that's not harmful to the environment or to me or to the children that I might feed it to. And initially I thought, yep, I'm definitely going to do that. It sounds great. Well, you know, our company should become a B Corp. So I went home, opened my laptop, looked at the BIA, the impact assessment that you had, and I just went, oh, okay. I think I spent about half an hour trying to navigate around it. It was just, okay, yes, we should do it, but maybe not yet.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary. And also it's the time. I was just thinking, I'm literally not going to have time to do that myself at the moment. It's so many steps, so much information. And so it was a couple of years later when Laura was looking for a job, essentially, and a career change, that I said, I know what you can do. We really would like to go through this impact assessment, see where we are, and see if we can become a B Corp. So that was how Laura joined us. And I think, it's the verification that you know that you can trust companies with the B Corp score. Having gone through it, you know it even more because of all the intricacies and the time and the checks that they do. And we wanted that stamp to say to other people, we're not greenwashing. We really are trying here.
Yeah, I think it. I think it really helps give that kind of trust. It's like you said. So there's so much greenwash about.
Yeah, and it's hard to know. And when we first started looking into everything, and actually, we were perhaps using things that are labelled as biodegradable is an absolute lie. If it's a plastic bag, it's essentially microplastics that you end up with, not anything that's bio. You know, it sounds like it's natural, and it's not at all. So we also, from my point of view, I didn't want to be running a company that was creating harm, or that we hadn't really looked into everything, couldn't give a proper answer. So if people say to us, why do you use that sugar? We've got a really good reason why. We've really researched it, we've looked into it, and we know that we've made the best decision we can at that time, which doesn't always mean it's a perfect solution, but we've looked into it and we feel confident in what we've done.
It's interesting. It's that purpose thing coming out again. Where did this come from with you? Like how did everything become so purposeful, and where did
it wasn't anything? Yeah, I think it's. I grew up in, like I just said, with 7 siblings, in a house in the countryside, and my parents didn't believe in TVs, so we weren't allowed a telly. We didn't have one in the house. So we were outside. And I've always been fascinated by nature. I think I can remember like staring into ponds and finding all the little pond waders and things like that when I was younger. And I suppose the idea that what we were doing could be a detriment to that people are taking over, that these things are getting squeezed out of the edges, that farming can be detrimental, that our food production and what we eat and what we buy can all be detrimental to those things that I love. And I don't want nature to be depleted and all the animals we push to the edges. And you know, I remember when I was 17, I had one of those old Beetles, you know, an original Beetle.
Oh, nice.
And with very poor windscreen wipers, and you'd drive anywhere, and the windscreen would be so covered in fatted bugs.
Yeah.
So covered. And now where are they?
I was saying this the other day. Yeah.
What have we done to them? So we need these insects. The insects are crucial. They're crucial for birds, they're crucial for pollination. So I suppose it's that idea. I don't want to be adding to harm of the planet, and I most definitely want to protect it as much as possible and help it to rejuvenate.
Yeah, I mean, our company, like, we didn't necessarily start from day one with all this kind of purpose intention that maybe you did.
No, we didn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't either. Honestly, it was one of those. Let's make some nice cakes that people think are pretty. But I think it was written in that from the beginning we wanted to use natural packaging and things like that where we could, but plastic wasn't considered terrible 12 years ago, and no one really cared about a plastic bag or a plastic wrap. It wasn't talked about, was it? So how did you come to that then, because it was about the same time you started?
Well, Ellie just sort of turned up, invited herself to the company, and she was like, we've got to do things the right way. But it was interesting because there's a lot of things. I was kind of interested in how it compares with you guys, because there's a lot of things where we've made decisions to do stuff which probably, have made us less profit, or made us, in some ways, some accountants would say it's probably made us a worse business. But obviously it seems like the right thing to do, and I kind of wondered what that was like for you, because I think you guys, I guess, are more like an artisan type product where people sort of see, this is worth, there's like kind of unique value, but we sell, an industrial consumable product where
it's harder. It's still harder. No, well, I'm sure people are interested in their. Well, hopefully they're interested in their credentials, aren't they? And what they're sending out to people. But for us, it isn't No, it's not always a better option financially. Definitely not. We now have all of our the bags that the biscuit goes in, and the packaging for the baking kits is either paper or it's home compostable bags. But so they're certified home compostable. They're not those, some things that say biodegradable, like we've just said, are actually just microplastics. But they cost on average 5 times more per bag for the biscuit packaging and 15 times more per bag for the baking kit packaging. So they're much, much more expensive. And we use organic flour because organic farms are shown to be much better for nature. The particular producer that we've chosen to buy the flour from leaves very wide margins for insects and other things. They do lots of regenerative farming, but it costs a lot more. And obviously, consumers at the moment are like most of us, a bit strapped for cash, and our profit margins are definitely lower for doing the right thing at this point. But I think longer term, it's got to be. You don't want to make the decision based on profit and not based on the right thing.
I think you're right. I like society has just, sort of trained businesses to think they need to be the biggest and the cheapest. It's like the Amazon effect. They kind of screw everything down. So it's just interesting to find out how you guys deal with that. I don't know whether it's just a bit of a misconception sometimes where businesses think they need to be cheaper, but actually it's not that important.
I suppose we've always tried to go on quality. So we've never competed on price really. And we obviously lose business for that reason. But there is also a strange thing with people that if they think if something's more expensive, they think it's better.
Yeah.
So I think you win and lose customers on that. Some people only want something cheap. Some people want to spend what they'd spend on flowers to send to someone and feel like they're getting something really quality and that they haven't just sent a cheap gift. So I think we don't do sales. And we've always just, I think, almost price ourselves on purpose at that rate. But it still doesn't mean we make loads and loads of profit because, like I say, we pay the living wage. We've got everything we do costs more.
But I guess, see, I find it really inspiring what you do, and I would love to see every business taking that approach. So how do you think we can inspire other small businesses to take that approach? Because you're still running a really successful business, aren't you? But you're doing it the right way, so it's still possible, right? Would you advise other companies to go for B Corp, and what benefits do you think B Corp has and things like that?
I would definitely advise it, but I also understand the challenges. Although B Corp is an amazing stamp to have, I can see that it perhaps isn't something everybody would want to have or need. Not that they're not necessarily doing anything fantastic, because we were doing most of that stuff before. We were already doing it all. It wasn't that we did it for B Corp. And it does cost money. We're paying a wage to somebody to essentially continue our B Corp certification. And you also have to pay the fees to the B Corp to join and everything. So it's a cost, isn't it? And I think perhaps if you're very small, you're better off just doing things on your own conscience. Maybe. Not that they shouldn't be a B Corp. Of course they should be a B Corp. But if you're an independent person, you perhaps are going to struggle a little bit with the time frame. Although I believe it's a lot simpler if you're a sole trader, I think.
Suppose so. I guess what happens is, little sort of businesses and smaller businesses, they have the conversations and they go, oh, that sounds great, but we're going to go with the cheaper option.
I think it definitely depends on the type of business. So I guess with you, as you're making you're almost manufacturing, aren't you? You're going to have to look at your supply chain. It's relatively complicated. Some business types won't be as complicated, but I think B Corp gives you a really nice roadmap, doesn't it? So, and obviously it's a continuous process.
As a small company as well, you could certainly use the impact assessment without actually having to submit if you don't want to, as a benchmark, like you say. And I think probably a lot of small businesses are better at making the right choices than the big ones, because they don't have a board to go to and say, oh, by the way, we've just spent 15 times as much on the packaging than we did last year because we've switched to a better option, a more sustainable option that actually, to be honest, is slightly harder to work with and 15 times the price. But you don't have to. I don't have to tell anyone that. No one has to okay it. It's just whether or not I decide that's the best option. It ends up falling with me. But at the same time, if I thought we were putting things out that might end up in the sea as plastic floating around killing turtles, I wouldn't want to, I just don't want to do that. And I think that's probably the same with a lot of smaller businesses compared to the bigger ones who have someone else to answer to, and maybe stakeholders and people expecting higher profits every year. And I have to say, I mean, we're not always in a position there's challenges. There's cash flow challenges, other challenges. And I suppose it's the conscience that keeps it at that level, because like everyone else, we've seen a hit since the cost of living crisis. We're selling a bit less. People are definitely more price conscious, and we could have just gone, oh, okay, we won't use the organic flour. The other one's half the price. We'll switch back to maybe plastic bags for a bit. But the B Corp does keep you on track for that. If we did that, we wouldn't get it next time. So it helps.
I think, I think when you said conscience, I think that's probably the word. I kind of feel like, I think in any business, but I think if you actually have that conscience and you display it, then I think it probably helps build the culture in that company. It probably helps build a stronger company. So it goes both ways. I think there's value as well to run a business with a conscience.
Definitely, and I think probably that's where small businesses do well. I think because there is literally someone there going, "Oh, don't do that because I don't think that's going to be good for something." I sometimes go to the if I put something in the bin and someone's put plastic in there, I'm like, right, come on, who's
that's
sounds
me.
like you.
who's not recycled their yogurt pot? Come and get it, wash it up.
I think when you have a business where like if you don't have that conscience, like slowly bit by bit it like builds up and builds up, and then it can become a bit toxic, and that's probably why you get these big corporations where they have terrible service and they end up failing, going bankrupt.
It snowballs a bit, and if all they care about is the bottom line, there's clearly going to be casualties with people and everything else. So
kind of sending out those really subtle kind of cues to the people in the business.
That you don't care. That you do or don't care about their welfare and the welfare of the wider planet, I suppose.
You've also partnered with 1% for the Planet. Do you want to explain what that is and who? I don't know. If you want to explain your charity partner as well.
1% for the Planet are a charity, are an overall organisation that businesses can sign up to donate 1% of turnover to charity, environmental charities. So 1% for the Planet is an umbrella, and they have hundreds of environmental charities listed in their directory that you can then donate to as part of your 1% commitment. And they can be anything from very small grassroots charities to save, for example, something like a grass snake, to quite big environmental charities doing bigger, more well-known work. And the idea is that it's kind of an environment tax on yourself. So 1% of turnover. When I once saw that on something else a long time ago, I thought, that isn't very much. It doesn't sound like much.
That's what someone said to me.
It is about 10. It's 1% regardless of profit. So we have a lost quarter, for example, in Q3 now we have a lost quarter because we have to pay wages twice. A lot of the time people are on holiday and we've still got to keep production going. We have to buy lots of things in for Christmas prep that we haven't yet made the sales for. It's just how our business runs. But whether or not we make a loss, we have to pay that 1%, and it does equate to something like 10% of profit. By the time you take out all your net costs. So it is quite a commitment. It is quite a lot. But the good thing about it is, especially within our business, we can say to people, is there any particular charity that you feel would be close to your heart that you'd like to donate to? We can donate to Northamptonshire Wildlife Trust, or we can donate to Farm Africa, who are doing sustainable farming in East Africa. So you've got lots of options, but under one umbrella, and it's something that is becoming recognisable, I think, to other people on the outside.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like B Corp. It's again with like charity donations. There's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of companies that maybe aren't that clear about how much is going to these causes, and I think 1% for the Planet, again, it's quite an easy way for a company to have a positive impact if you sign up to them.
Yeah, it is, and there's lots of, you can also choose things that really mean something to you or to your team.
Transparent, that's the word I was trying to think of.
Exactly. It is transparent, and your B Corp, if you are a B Corp company, your B Corp certification fees are part of your charity donation as well. So it is, and it is a good thing to do.
Why did you choose? What was the charity partner you work with? What was it?
Farm Africa.
Oh, Farm Africa. Yeah. Why did you choose them?
Prior to that, we had before we partnered with 1% for the Planet, we had a partnership with Farm Africa. And that was a 3-year partnership, and then it kind of came to an end. So we decided to start using 1% for the planet. The reason we partnered for them is my mum was actually born in Africa, and so I felt like I had a connection to it. And we were looking at charities, and they really pioneered sustainable farming in East Africa, especially women-led, which is not often done in Africa, I don't think. I mean, I think it's often more male-dominated. So they particularly helped women to, for example, start a little goat farm and use the milk but with very much a sustainability angle. So how to use the fields in a way that they'll still produce food in years to come rather than depleting the soil. And they're now actually under 1% for the planet as well as a partner. So we can still continue to donate to them as part of our commitment to 1% for the planet.
Nice. I suppose like the donation or the money has probably a bigger impact there than maybe kind of UK charities.
Yeah, I would have thought so. And I think we donated 60 or 70,000 pounds to them, which would have a big impact in Africa, because, like you say, the value is higher. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think again, as like a small business, I think it's such a very inspiring thing to do, and I really think all businesses should do it. And I know like it's difficult with like the costs and stuff, and especially at the moment. But yeah, I mean, would you recommend it to other businesses? I guess there's not really a business case for it, is it?
No, there's not a business case for it. Apart from, I think probably all these things give confidence to a consumer, to someone coming along. If I was picking between two companies, okay, this company gives some money to environmental charities and they're a B Corp, I would choose them because I would like to buy sustainably, wherever I can. So if I was trying to pick between two companies, that would sway the decision for me. So I think it's growing. There's not many B Corps in the UK, and some people have no clue what it means. There's still quite a lot of people that have no idea what it means. But everyone knows what a charity is, and everyone knows, oh, okay, with this sale, some of that money is going to go to a charity. I think people generally like that. So I think it probably has a positive impact, particularly in better time. But I mean, everyone cares a little bit less about certain things when they're struggling. So naturally, when energy bills are really high or things like that, it becomes a bit less important. But in general, I think it's a good base and a kind of good message to give.
So we wonder kind of what does sustainable business mean to you or to Honeywell Bakes?
Yeah, so sustainable is a bit of a word, isn't it? What does that actually mean, that word? But I think for us, it means that I'm genuinely doing things with a conscience. So if I don't think it's the right thing, if I think actually buying that cheaper thing is going to do harm somewhere else, then I won't do it. And I suppose it also means that we're constantly trying to check what we're doing as well, because what was right last year might have changed. That supplier might now have changed. So it's trying to improve as much as possible, but also to continually check and to be able to answer to questions. If someone said, "Why did you pick that supplier?" we can say, "This is why. We've looked into it." Well, sugar is one of those that's difficult. We don't use organic sugar because when we did research into it, actually, organic sugar is not fair trade. So you can have organic sugar, but it's shipped in shipping containers across the sea, which is harmful. And that organic sugar is a lot more expensive, but they don't have anything in place to say that the people that are working there are treated and paid fairly. So you had to pick between it, and on balance, having done a lot of research, we decided actually we're better off buying British grown sugar that the people are treated fairly and doesn't have to be shipped across the sea. But it's not always a definite answer, because actually sugar grows better abroad. But we need it, so we need it in our product.
Might be a dumb question, but fair trade just means that they pay people a fair wage and fair
Well,
working conditions, or what does it actually mean?
well, fair. Essentially, the people are treated fairly, and considered that it's safe conditions, that it's fair wages.
And no slavery, I guess, in the supply chain and that kind of thing.
No child labour, no, and no, essentially well treated, well paid. But like anything, fair trade has its downsides, and some people, fair trade is also very expensive to join. So there's people doing great production and treating people very fairly. They're not fair trade, so it's not always it's not always cut and dry at all. And strangely, child labour is obviously never a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it is, but in Madagascar with vanilla production, it's very much a family event, and often the children will help pick the vanilla, and it's during the holiday, like summer, like our children would have done here, help with the harvest, and often farming children still do. So essentially, children are sometimes involved in vanilla production, but it isn't child labour. It's kind of family. So it's never quite as straightforward as you think.
Yeah. I guess there's a fine line between slavery and.
Well, I guess when you think of Tony's Chocolonely, they're obviously really they try and do chocolate without they're against obviously slavery, but they even find it in their supply chain, don't they? And they actively try and find it and do something about it. And I know they were criticised. People were saying, "Oh, but we shouldn't be buying this. You found slavery in your supply chain," but that's how difficult it is apparently, because it's just
you can't be on site all the time. No, you couldn't possibly be on site, and you do have to have a certain level of trust. But I think also the challenges that are in other countries producing sugar and cocoa and other things are different to ours, so it's hard sometimes to judge everyone on our same standards.
And it doesn't help with the big corporations that are not really, they're just looking for the cheapest price, aren't they?
Yeah, especially things like clothing. When you read about that, it's
I guess it's with it being I think you've raised some really good points there. What we always like to say to guests on this podcast is, if you could give a business owner listening just one piece of advice about how to make your business more sustainable, what would it be?
I think it would be, firstly, if you genuinely feel that you're doing the right thing, then you will be. If your conscience says it's fine, I'm sure it is. But also that small changes have a big impact. So sometimes people think, well, what's the point? What's the point in making this small change here that maybe other people are just, we give it out in paper and they're just giving it out in plastic next door. But it does all add up. And I think small changes do have a big impact overall. And so even if you think it's a small thing, just to start small, and then if you keep making small changes, you'll make big leaps.
Well said.
Yeah.
I have a question I like to ask people. So what we normally say is, where do you think the world will be in 10 years' time? And also, kind of, where do you want it to be? This is normally in terms of like sustainability.
Yeah. Well, that is, where I hope it will be is that we're regeneratively producing a lot more food. And I suppose that we have made some real changes to waste management and the production of our daily needs. Whether we have to make changes. We have to make big changes, and it is when climate disasters start happening that people start listening, isn't it? So I really hope that that does happen. So it's possible to produce food, because for example, it's possible to produce food in a much more regeneratively and planet-friendly way. So I really hope that things move that way, that we move away from pesticides and chemicals and fertilizers and more to like rewilded areas. But it would mean eating a lot less meat, probably. It would mean changing our habits. We're used to being able to go and buy an avocado and lots of things that are not grown here. So maybe if we have to go backwards a bit to seasonal food.
Yeah, I guess it's all the factory farming is really bad, isn't it? Isn't that one of the biggest?
Yeah. I was on the radio this morning, Hugh Fernie Whittingstall, talking about chickens, and I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat meat, but I try to choose the right meat. But a lot of chicken most chicken, 90% of chicken in the UK, is designed or bred to go from birth to slaughter in 35 days, which is so unnatural. And the chickens are unhealthy and they have to have lots of antibiotics and other things. So I think it's that we've got to move away from this kind of cheap, I'm talking about food a lot, but from cheap food, and obviously it has if we paid a bit more for it, we'd perhaps only have it once, twice a week and eat more veg, and then we'd be healthier anyway.
Yeah, it can't be that healthy, that meat as well. Do you know
I think
it's
that's
not
the
very,
thing.
no,
I think
it's not.
People think, oh, plant-based food. I think it still has a long way to go. A lot of it is a bit over-processed. You know, I'm not sure about
it really
some
is,
of the, you know,
and it's shipped
plant-based
from miles
sausages
and wrapped in plastic. Yeah, it's not.
But when people think, oh, well, you know, I just eat meat, a burger or a sausage, but I'm not convinced that is that healthy either. So
no, I think if you produce, it's a strange one, isn't it? But if you produce meat in a regenerative way, so if you just have very small flocks of sheep or wild venison or things like that, but you eat less of it probably rather than. But no, a lot of plant-based food is very processed, isn't it? And comes a really long way, and things like soy are very damaging if they're not grown correctly. So,
but then a lot of that goes to animal feed anyway, doesn't it? The soya produced. So
so it's better to go direct to humans and than it is to go via animals.
So complicated, isn't it? I guess what could you do as like it's so easy to feel powerless, isn't it? It's like, well, I just go to the supermarket and I buy the food that's there. You know, how can we try and buy food a bit more sustainably? It's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think reading the labels and probably going back to trying to go to a butcher or there's somewhere called Piper's Farm that does really regenerative meat. A lot of or just by the higher welfare or the organic. I mean, if you buy organic, it's better, but it's expensive. But even if you make a couple of swaps to organic, then it helps.
I think if you cut out meat and dairy, just I don't eat a lot of meat and dairy, but I think just cutting it out from a few meals, you know, there's things like meatless Mondays, isn't there? That can really save a lot of money because meat's expensive, isn't it, as well? So
I think when you're talking about like, you know, local butchers and stuff, Rebecca, I think it's kind of about like the community thing. You know, I feel like for you, it sounds like baking was like a family thing.
It was very much,
gave you purpose, which has given you not a job, but, you know, a life which you probably really enjoy, and probably the people that work for you do. So it's like probably a good experience of life. And I think probably food, it's obviously it's big corporations, the majority of it, and it's not about family or meal time or, you know, meals together. It's just about
quick. It's about profit, and it's about using cheap ingredients and topping it up with sugar and other things to make it taste okay, when really what's in it is not very good for you.
Yeah, I think probably we're just a bit disconnected. I think it's the same with every industry, whether it's, you know, big food or whatever. I think we're losing connectiveness, and we want to get it back.
Yeah, and I think there's a natural drive towards it, isn't it? People feel a bit purposeless. You know, you go to work in a city perhaps, and you come home and you have your plastic packaged stuff from the supermarket. It doesn't feel very. I think we need nature connection, and with that does come more kind of mental and health and well-being. And I try to grow a bit of it. I'm not very good at growing veg, but I try to grow a bit. But my dad always grows an awful lot of veg. The whole summer they've got their own veg growing. So I grew up with that as well. They've always done that. I didn't used to like it. I used to be made to peel beans and do all kinds of things and moan about eating it. Courgettes every day for about 6 months. But now you can see the value in it now, that it wasn't. They never got anything from a supermarket. So
that's what we need more of then.
Yeah.
We need to start growing our own, I think.
Yeah, we can if we have space, but even in a container you can grow a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. Is that a wrap then?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. No, thanks so much for your time. It's been really nice to talk to you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We hope it was truly
worth your while.
For more information, visit reuserbox.co.uk/earthyourwhile.
And if you'd like to appear on the next series of Earth Your Wow, please email media@reuserbox.co.uk.